Hi folks, welcome to the Salubrious MOTO studio. Something a little bit special today. I've got Harley-Davidson's 2023 Lowrider ST. Now for the nerds amongst us, and I'm one, so I'm in the club, a little history on the Lowrider S. Now Lowrider S became a bit of a cult classic pretty quickly. It was a blacked out, hot rod, gold wheeled, in fact the last of the Dyna range. That was in 2016. That became a really popular bike. In fact, I rode one from Melbourne to Sydney with the great Bill Davidson a few years ago, and I fell in love with it so much so that I nearly put a deposit on one. And it wasn't because it was a bad bike, it was because I waste money. The point being, the Lowrider S was the original bike in 2016, the last of the Dynas. In 2020, the bike became a Softail, as across the range. Softails, the Dynas were finished, and Softail became the norm across the platforms. This one here is a Lowrider ST, as I said. ST, sports touring, it usually means, and it's probably fair to say that's what it means here. The bike is different from the S in a few ways. People wanted that blacked out hot rod thing, but they were sort of whinging about being a little uncomfortable over distance. And people want to travel. I mean, everyone wants to get away on their bikes. Why wouldn't you? COVID, wars, bad spouses. Everyone's got to move on from something. So, what did HD do? In all their wisdom, they decided to make a sports touring variant, and that's what you're looking at here. Now the differences are, and they're all geared towards sort of touring, travelling, long distances, people, as I say, people want to go away. So we got these bags, 53 litres capacity combined. Reasonably smallish bags, but they look really cool, and they had to walk the fine line of remaining, that cool S without losing the stripped back stuff. So it was always a bit of a compromise, but they've done pretty well. You get this really nice frame mounted fairing. It actually works pretty well. You'll see a bit further in the review when I talk about that on the road. It works pretty well. Very minimal. Within here is nothing but nothing. And again, people might say, oh, I'd like to see lots of gauges and stuff in there, but the point being, then you lose that S stripped back thing. Now further, you get longer travel suspension, which is really, I welcome it. 720mm seat height, which is pretty low. So you've still got that sort of, hunkered down, pretty cool street feel, but longer travel suspension. And when you're going to weight up those bags with stuff, you're probably going to need it. Now further, the price, $36,995 right away. This is the vivid black one. There's another colour scheme, more money. I never worked that out. Paint, Anyway, good way to make an extra quid. 19 litre fuel tank, good touring range. I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's pretty good. The big plus here is 31.3 degrees of lean. Now, a lot of people will tell you, and they're right, Cruiser's a bit of a mongrel on clearance. This one does pretty well at 31.3 litres. 31.3 litres, that's pretty cool. 31.3 degrees of lean. Mid-mounted controls, that helps. I'm not a footboard fan, and this gives you more clearance, there's no doubt about that. What have we got? We've got the 117 CI Milwaukee 8 engine. That comes out to 1923 cc's. Yes, you heard it. 1923 cc's. Now she's a big girl, he's a big girl, they're a big girl, they're a big man, they're a big it. Okay, 327 kilograms. No higher than that. That's a porky fella. Okay, that's a porky fella. Big heavy bike, big long sled. Don't expect massive nimble handling, but it's actually pretty good. Certainly pretty good on longer stuff, sweepier stuff, distant stuff, wistful, poetic. You with me? What else have we got? 168 Newton meters of torque. HD's are torque factories, they always have been. But this one also makes 78 kilowatts, which is 105 horsepower. which, yeah, people say, oh, 1900 cc's, 105 horsepower, you know, not a lot. You don't get cruisers if that's what you're talking about. I've probably rabbited on enough here. We'll have a look at the detail. I've given you the mathematics. Let's get out on the road and have a look at the poetry.
Just while we're stuck here in the environs of beautiful Geelong, waiting for traffic. Just a quick chat about Harley-Davidson in general at the moment. I've been pretty scathing in my criticism of some of Harley-Davidson during the 2010s. I thought they got a few things wrong. I thought they were too ambitious. The 100 models in 10 years sounded ridiculous to me, and I was turned out to be right with that. But they burnt the CEO Matt Levatich at the stake, and as they well should have. And since then, I think they're kind of getting things right. They're starting to listen to the marketplace, and this ST is a great example of that. I mean, the S is a great bike. I loved it, but people said, oh, it's a bit hard to ride a long way. Well, so HD created an ST. I think they're now building bikes that people want, rather than the bikes they wanted to build. Okay, dynamics, engine, drivetrain dynamics. I really like, this clutch pull's really light, things like that. Traffic shows up big bikes like this, and this is pretty reasonable in traffic. You know, things like the clutch pull. Your gearbox is still crunchy. I don't know what they've done, but it selects first beautifully without that bag of spanners clunk, which I appreciate. But there's still a little bit. You need to be on time with your clutch work, put it that way. A lot of people whinge about that clunk, but look, I'll change gear now, you'll hear nothing. It's more about working with your clutch. These bikes demand you ride them still, and I like that about them. You know, that if you're a dunderhead, you're going to get told, and I like that. Some of the bikes nowadays are so sophisticated that, you know, even if you're a complete wallaby and cack things up, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't show up. Well, my view of life is, if you know, you get it wrong, mate, you wear it. HD still believes in that. That's not on the brochure. Fueling is fantastic for a big lump, big V twin of 1900 cc's. I'm coming off the bottom at 1600 revs now. I'm in fourth gear. I'm doing 50 kilometers an hour. That'll test any big bike. And it's just pull. You know, it's just tons and tons of torque, and no threat of a jerky response. That's pretty cool. That shows me they've thought the mapping right through. There's a lot of work gone into that mapping. What else? Brakes are great. Brakes are great, and that's another tricky thing. When you got something with the rake and trail numbers that this has, if you over brake it, you're gonna be locking that front wheel. I don't care who you are. And people, oh, Harley's got no brakes. Yeah, Cruiser's got no brakes. There's a good reason for that. That, you know, you end up skiing down the road. This one, again, has clearly been hard put the R&D department. Big fan. The blacked out nature of this bike really suits me. This crinkle black is nice. I really like it. It's all over the place. I love these big fat fork stanchions. I love the fact that this pretends like it's an adjustable front end. Looks like it, doesn't it? Works well. Might I say that even the plastics in this bike are, you know, I don't want to be rude, but they're BMW-esque. The quality of that inner fairing is something new to HD. It's rock solid and made of the right stuff. The bike's like that, and it kind of want to be, because it, you know, let's face it, north of 36 grand. It's got to be good, but yeah, the finish is beautiful. This crinkle black here is just beautifully done. There's not a flaw in it, and I've been over the bike pretty hard looking for that. I always look hard at build quality and stuff like that. Yeah, built like a brick. A tunnel on a Harley with a standard exhaust. It's kind of like dancing with your sister, you know. all the equipment's there, but just not the buzz. This is where this thing starts to make all sorts of sense. Although we're going to have to go for a handful of brake here. What is it about freeways where they'll just slow down for a sec and then off you go again? Anyway, yeah, freeway speeds, highway speeds. That's where this thing makes sense. It's absolutely rock solid. The protection from that fairing is great. That hole, that you know, gap you're looking at there in the fairing, clearly heavily aerodynamically tested because it works perfectly. It just seems to be the right amount of breeze come through there. So yeah, top marks on that fairing in regard to wind protection, and the bars are just rock solid and light. It's where it makes sense. This is where HDs and something like this really own the road. And you know, it's easy to judge an HD as big and clumsy in town because it kind of is, but this is a sleek sort of GT out here, and with this seating position, which I have to say is eminently comfortable. I love that it's got pegs rather than footboards. You can stick footboards right up your bloody jumper as far as I'm concerned. I find them uncomfortable, and they certainly limit clearance. So in this case, I'm wrapped in that. But yeah, the seat is cupping my delicate little tush with aplomb. The reach of the bars probably an inch too far out there, but that's probably got more to do with my size than the bike. After all, we have to look after 6'5" Iraqi veterans in America on Harleys, and they'd have me for breakfast. Now, the $64 question: is it cool? Well, I have to speak from my demographic, which is, you know, old tosser. I still feel cool riding this bike, and I know the kids still think it's cool because when I park it up, they don't treat me like an old dickhead. They want to talk to me, they want to have a sit on it, they want to have a look at it. Millennials, maybe not so much. It's the old Levi syndrome. You don't want to do what your dad did. That's what happened to Levi jeans. Went from selling squillions pairs of 501s, what are 501s? Yeah, to none. Although I notice they're coming back now. But that's because there's been a generation in between, you know, that think it through. So yes, I think they're cool. I think they're returning to cool. And let's face it, HD has to have cool on its side. Has to. If it hasn't got that, it's got nothing. So again, I think they got some of their marketing a bit wrong, and returning to people that are more likely to understand that less said, less done is often cooler than big bright lights. Harley celebrates its 120th this year. I was there for the 100th, yeah, and just got really plowed drunk in Milwaukee, and on the Harley-Davidson credit card. It was fantastic. Hopefully they'll ring me up again, although I don't think I could go at the pace I did then. There's the new Spirit of Tasmania wharf, first time I've seen it. It's now in Geelong. Yeah, so happy birthday, HD.